Okay, I'm gonna move forward with lunch. I've got a big Mexican theme going, and to go with everything, I'm making chili con queso dip. I love chili con queso. It's technically a dip, and I'm gonna take some chips for the guys to eat it with, but it's also gonna be part of the whole spread. They can spoon it over the chicken, whatever it is on their plate. I love this stuff. I chopped up a large yellow onion, and I've been browning it in just a little bit of vegetable oil, and I added a whole roll, a pound of breakfast sausage. It's hot sausage, and this is what sets the chili con queso apart from the regular stuff, which is usually just a cheese dip. This has meat in it, it's got some chilies. This stuff is very habit forming, so enter at your own risk. Okay, I've got the sausage all broken up. Now, the key ingredient in any chili con queso, of course, is cheese, and I use this stuff that needs no introduction at all. And I'm just gonna cut it up into big cubes. I have a lot of practice with this. My kids love this stuff, my husband loves it. I make chili con queso anytime there's a big football game going on. I'm just cutting this into big squares, and then this is gonna go right into the pan with the sausage. Now, I'll break up the cubes and just throw this right in. I'm gonna turn the heat to low. I don't want it to burn. That's the beauty of this stuff. It melts a lot more smoothly than any other cheese you can find. Okay, now I'll just stir this in and let it start to melt. Okay, and while it melts, I'll chop up a fresh jalapeno just to add some nice heat. I'll cut off the top and bottom, and I'll cut it into quarters. Now, so it's not too overwhelming spice-wise, I'll cut out the membranes and get rid of most of the seeds. You do want the queso to have a little bit of spice, but not too much. And then I'll just slice up the jalapeno and dice it up. Okay, the jalapenos are nice and finely diced. Now, the cheese is looking absolutely perfect. It's creamy and dreamy and divine, just what I expected it to be. Now, another essential ingredient to chili con queso is a can of tomatoes with diced chilies. And I put the juice in because that's where a lot of the flavor is. But this also gives the chili con queso great texture, nice bits of tomato and chili. I love the green chili component, so I also add another couple of cans of just diced green chilies. Of course, you can roast your own chilies, peel them, dice them, but this is so much easier. Okay, stir that around, and then for heat, I'll add the diced jalapenos. All right, I'll just make sure it's all stirred together. It looks absolutely wonderful. So I've got the goat cheese all sliced and it's ready to go. And then I've already started sauteing some onion and garlic. And I'm going to add some white wine just to deglaze everything that's gone on in here so far. I'm gonna turn up the heat. And then I'm gonna add a can of fire roasted tomatoes. Part of where the fiery goat comes in. And then a jar of roasted red peppers sliced up. And I'm letting the juice go in and everything. So I know it looks like a lot of red, but this is one of those things that you pull out from under the broiler and just set it down with the crostini. And before you know it, it is literally gone. It's that good. Do you guys like goat cheese?
No.
Yes.
Stop. Goat cheese is my favorite cheese in the whole entire world.
It's just, it's really like a mystery how delicious it is. Oh, I forgot. Italian seasoning. Got to season things up. And paprika. This has a lot of flavor, this sauce. And some crushed red pepper flakes. I wonder how much I go through in a year. I mean, there's no telling. I love this stuff. All right, and that's another place the fiery comes into play.
All right.
There's a theme here, there's a theme. Okay, so now I just need to stir this around and cook it for about 10 minutes until it's cooked down, and then I'll move forward with the dip. Okay, Paige, check it out. It has reduced so much in just that 10 minutes. So what you want to do is make sure the sauce is off the sides of the pan and mostly just in a neat, single, even layer. And then you grab these coins of goat cheese and just arrange them on top. You don't have to really stick them too far down in the sauce, but you want to nestle them just a tiny bit. And you can only imagine what's going to happen from here. I don't believe that you don't like goat cheese, Alex.
Okay.
I just don't believe it. And I'm going to use all the goat cheese too. Look at that. All right, Paige, let's go to the oven. And I've got the broiler on. So I'm going to stick it under the broiler, and I'll stand here and babysit it. And when it's kind of melted and slightly golden, I'll take it out and we'll dive in. Hello. Check it out. How good does that look? Okay, just some parsley. I'm just gonna tear it because I'm lazy and I can't find my knife, if we're being honest. Sprinkle it over. So you actually need to let this sit about 10 minutes before you let anybody dive into it because that cheese is so hot. It's basically like lava at this stage. But serve it with a little bowl of crostini. Just let everyone go in, or you can have little plates. Everybody can kind of get their own piece of goat cheese. To me, this and a bottle of wine is the perfect dinner for one. So I'm making the base for the dip now, and it's Greek yogurt, softened cream cheese, lemon juice, lemon zest, and then I'll add some garlic powder and onion powder. You can also do fresh garlic if you are so inclined. And then salt and pepper. And I'm gonna whip this up until it's really smooth. Ooh, that smells good. All right, that creamy base is sufficiently creamy, so I'm gonna move on with some chopped parsley. All right, so a bunch of chopped fresh parsley goes into the clam dip. And I'm gonna chop some green onions. I'll put some of them in the dip, and then some of them are gonna go on top. This is actually a cold clam dip. It's not baked. All right, so the green onions go in. Again, I'm gonna save some of them back. Oops, and some of the parsley too. I forgot and put it all in there.
For garnish.
Okay, and then since this is clam dip, I thought it would be appropriate to add some clams. So I'm using good quality canned clams, which is a perfectly acceptable life choice. And I drained them and chopped them. A hot sauce is optional, but it not only adds a little bit of heat, but it also adds that unmistakable flavor and bite. So I'm gonna fold the clams so they don't get all beaten up. I don't want to mix them, but look at this.
Wow.
I'm not going to ask Paige what she thinks because at this point in her life, she's not a lover of seafood, but Alex, I think you're going to love this.
I think I might like it.
All right, so I have a cute little shallow dish, and I'm going to scoop the clam dip right in there. All right, so come look at this, Alex. And it was so easy. There wasn't much complicated about it at all. So I'm just gonna garnish it with the parsley and green onion that I reserved. And then before I cover it, I wanna take a little taste of it. I wish I had those fresh potato chips to try. Oh man. Ooh, that's good. I better try another bite. You know, you could do like chopped cooked shrimp. You could do like chopped lobster if you wanted to. You could turn any seafood into like a cold dip. I love the clams though. They're kind of briny and they go so well with that creamy base. So I've already fried a lot of pieces of bacon, took them out, and I didn't even drain the fat from the bacon. I just put the ground beef right in. And I'm just crumbling it to get it started. I'll crank up the heat, and I'm gonna season it with some seasoned salt and pepper. So what I love is that the ground beef is basically cooking in bacon grease, so the finished dip is just gonna have that bacon cheeseburger vibe everywhere you turn. All right, so this is just gonna take me a few minutes. I wanna totally brown the beef, and I'm gonna use this spatula just to break it up as I go. Okay, the beef is totally browned. That didn't take too long. So I'm just gonna try to drain off as much of the fat as I can. There, that works. Okay, I'm gonna let this sit and cool for just a minute, and I'm gonna move forward with the dip. So I've got 2 blocks of softened cream cheese in this baking dish. All right, so the cream cheese is spread. I'm gonna sprinkle on a little bit of pepper just for fun. I have some freshly grated cheddar cheese. I'm gonna add half of it to the cream cheese. And then, you guessed it. Okay, so then I'm gonna add all the beef. And if there's a little bit of juice, that's good. No worries, you don't have to drain all the fat.
It's just extra flavor.
Oh, how does this look so far?
Amazing.
All right, now, this is kind of cool. Way to go,
It's
Alex.
ruining it.
I know.
Yes, ketchup.
Ketchup.
I'm on your side, Mom.
Thanks, Paige. You gotta have ketchup and mustard in your cheeseburgers, right?
Heck yeah.
This is an interesting piece of trivia. Lad never eats mustard unless it's on a bacon cheeseburger. He doesn't eat it on a regular cheeseburger. Worcestershire. And you can mix the ketchup, mustard, and Worcestershire with the ground beef if you want to, or if you just want to take the easy road, just do it all in the pan. And I'm going to add half of the bacon pieces. Yum, yum, yum. And then, you guessed it, the rest of the cheese. This is going to be incredible. Now, the dip is not the only aspect of this dish. Look at what I have over here.
Oh no. Oh,
Fresh rolls. These are actually frozen dinner rolls, and I let them thaw and rise. And I have some garlic butter. It's just a mix of fresh garlic and butter that I melted in the microwave. So I'm gonna generously brush this butter on all the buns. Okay, so basically we're gonna turn these rolls into sort of hamburger buns. So I have some sesame seeds, and I'll just sprinkle sesame seeds on each of the rolls. The butter's gonna help them stick. And this is such a cute presentation. It's got a real hamburger vibe with the sesame seed buns. Alrighty, so let's go to the oven, Alex. So the cool thing is the dip and the rolls bake at the same time. So I'll put the dip in and the rolls, and both of them are gonna bake at 375 until the rolls are golden and the dip is bubbly. It's gonna take about 17 to 20 minutes. Okay, let's start with the rolls.
Oh my goodness.
How cute
Ooh.
are these? And the dip.
Wow.
Check that out.
What?
Oh my. It's not gourmet, it's not fancy, but I want to dive into this pan right now. But I'm gonna wait because I have a couple more little adornments. More ketchup, Alex, but
Closing
just
my
for fun,
eyes.
just a drizzle. My ketchup don't drizzle. Okay, mustard. And just a little bit. You don't want to have big globs of condiments on top. And then I'm basically going to make this like a deconstructed bacon cheeseburger. So I'll top with shredded lettuce. I don't want to totally cover up the dip though. And some diced tomatoes. You could do slices like you would on a burger if you prefer. Pickles.
Oh my
Can I get an
gosh.
amen?
Amen.
I love this. And then sprinkle on a whole bunch of the leftover bacon. I love it. I think we should try it out right now. Paige, you want to come help me?
Yes.
Come over here, my child.
Because I like ketchup.
Get one of these, ooh, garlic rolls. Here, I'll break one in half.
Yum. So
then-
how are we?
I say we just go in with a spoon.
Oh my
Come in here, Alex.
gosh. That looks so good.
Look at that.
Wow.
Oh,
Oh, I'm just going for it.
I'll take some dips from the plates over here.
Oh my gosh, Mom, that is so good.
Is it good?
Mm-hmm. This is really good.
It's lasagna dip and chips. I've just got ground beef and sausage browned. I'm gonna add a few more things. A can of diced tomatoes, juice and all, and a couple of tablespoons of tomato paste. Gotta have plenty of garlic in any lasagna dish. And then some salt and pepper. Keep things really seasoned for the season. I'm gonna stir this all together, and then it needs to simmer for 15 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna make the cheese mixture for the lasagna dip. And so I've got about 1/3 cup of the cottage cheese and ricotta and about 1/4 cup of the Parmesan. And then I wanna make this really herby and delicious, so I've got some chopped basil and chopped parsley, and then some salt and pepper. And then I'll just smush this all together. Okay, that is all mixed together. So now I'm gonna assemble the dip. It is a lot of fun. I'm gonna start with a layer of the meat sauce. I'll add half of it to the bottom of a square baking dish. Now I'll add dollops of the cheese mixture. Now, as if that's not enough cheese, I am gonna add a layer of grated mozzarella. Okay, now I'll repeat the layers one more time, the rest of the meat mixture. All right, and another layer of the creamy ricotta mixture, the rest of the mozzarella, and that's all there is to assembling it. Now I've got to bake it at 425 degrees for 15 minutes. Noodle chips coming right up. I cut boiled and cooled lasagna noodles into triangles, put all 80 of them into a bowl, then added 3 tablespoons of olive oil, 1/3 cup of grated Parmesan, a tablespoon of chopped fresh oregano, mixed everything together, split the chips between 2 sheet pans, baked them at 375 degrees for 20 minutes, then took the crispy wonders out to cool. All right, now I want to sprinkle some of these beautiful herbs over the top. Lasagna dip and chips, perfect for the holidays. This is truly the perfect dish for game day, and my family happens to be hopelessly devoted to it. Now I'm gonna start by sauteing onions with 3 colors of bell pepper, green, red, and yellow. You can use whatever color you want. And then I'm gonna stir this around. Now these need to cook for about 5 minutes until they start to soften. So while that happens, I'm gonna prep the cheeses. I have 5 of them. First, I'll cube the processed cheese, 8 ounces, and then grate 4 ounces of cheddar, 4 ounces of mozzarella, the same amount of fontina, and it's just a matter of taking the lid off for 2 ounces of Parmesan. You know what I say, why have 1 cheese when you can have 5? That's pretty much my approach in life. Okay, the onions and peppers are nice and soft. So I've got a couple of more non-cheese things to add. I've got a can of diced tomatoes and green chilies. I didn't drain it, it's juice and all. And a small can of diced green chilies, just to really drive home that queso flavor. Now I need to stir this around until it totally heats up before I add the cheeses. I would say game day food is probably the #1 category of food in my house. It's a favorite of Bryce and Todd's for obvious reasons. They are high school athletes. We're getting close to football season, and boy, are we excited. Okay, this is all hot. So I'm gonna add the first cheese, the most important cheese in my opinion when it comes to queso. It's this good old processed cheese, and you've just gotta have it to get that really creamy queso consistency. It's really unbelievable to me that Bryce is already in high school football. He's a junior. That means he only has 2 more years left of high school football. And by the time Bryce goes to college, Todd's just gonna have 2 years left. So the time is ticking away. Okay, the first cheese is just about melted. So now I can add the rest. The sharp cheddar and mozzarella and fontina. And then finally some grated Parmesan. And then I just need to stir until all the cheeses are melted. When you start out with melting the processed cheese, it just kind of sucks that other cheese in and melts it almost instantly. Oh, wow, this is looking fantastic. Now I can tell it needs just a little bit of thinning out. So I've got some room temperature milk on hand, and I'll just add about 1/4 cup or so, and I'll stir it until everything's melted and everything is hot and bubbly. Okay, almost there. It's looking great. So this would be a good time for me to add a couple more things. Some diced fresh tomato and some diced pepperoni. Here's where the pepperoni pizza comes in. Now for a little spice, I'm also adding some diced jalapeno. I scraped out the seeds and membranes so it wouldn't be overpowering in terms of spice. Wow, this is my kind of queso. I don't like queso that's kind of too plain, too much of the cheese. I like it to be really chunky, and look at this. Look at that texture. Ooh boy. I've also got some fresh oregano, and I'm just gonna take the easy road and tear off little pieces. Okay, stirred in the oregano, and I think that's just the perfect amount. So now it's about serving this up. You wanna make sure it is piping hot when you pour it into the bowl, because you want it to stay hot and not set up immediately. I got that pretty full. I want to garnish the top and make it pretty, so I'll add a few more diced tomatoes and then some more of the diced pepperoni, just so you know what this is. And to make things extra pretty and extra tasty, I'll tear some basil leaves over the top. Emphasis on over the top. Now, you can serve anything with the queso. You can do chunks of French bread. I'm just gonna throw all caution to the wind and serve it with nacho chips. No plain tortilla chips will do for this dip. It is a flavor explosion. All right, guys, pepperoni pizza queso. Now, I've just been grilling 5 ears of corn. Now I'll let that sit and cool for a minute. And I have a skillet that I've been warming, and I'll add 1/2 stick of butter. This is a luscious dip. So many flavors going on, and I love that you don't have to make it at the last minute. You can do it way earlier in the day. Okay, the butter's all melted. Now I'm gonna crank up the heat, and I'll throw in some chopped onion. I've got some veggies, and I wanna cook them over really high heat to get as much color on the outside as possible. And then 2 colors of bell pepper, green and red. And then I diced up a couple of fresh jalapenos. I split them open and took out the seeds and membranes, because that's where all the really, really harsh spice is. And then just a couple of cloves of garlic that I minced really finely. Now I'll just stir this around. I'm gonna cook these for a few minutes, just until they start getting a nice deep golden brown color. Meg has been Alex's best friend since they were really, really little. And this is very handy because Meg's mom, Hyacinth, and I have been best friends for a long time. All right, these veggies need a couple more minutes, so I'll just let those sit, and I'll slice the kernels of corn off the cobs. Okay, corn's all ready. Let me check on the veggies. They're starting to get nice dark brown bits. Perfect. So I will turn off the heat and let them cool just a little bit in the pan. And while they cool, I'll mix up the base for the dip. It starts with mayonnaise. I'll add about 1/2 cup, and then the same amount of sour cream. Now I have an 8-ounce block of cream cheese. I made sure it was really soft so it would all mix together really easily. Now I'll throw the corn in, because this is hot corn chili dip. I'll just kind of break them up when I add it. Oh, I love grilled corn. Okay, and then the peppers are cool enough to add. So I'll just throw those in. This is a really versatile dip too. You can use whatever kinds of peppers, onions, veggies you want. Okay, 1 more big spoonful. And then I'll stir this around. There are jalapenos in this, but since they cooked, they're nice and mild, so you just get the flavor. Now I'll let that sit for a minute, and I'll grate up some cheese. I've got pepper jack cheese, but you can use just Monterey Jack or cheddar jack or just cheddar. I like using Monterey Jack whenever I'm putting something in the oven because it melts really nicely. That should be good on the cheese. So I'll add most of this in. And now, because this is corn chili dip, I'm adding 2 cans of diced green chilies, juice and all. Of course, you can roast your own chilies if you have them and if you have the time, but these canned ones are just delicious. I love them. I just have a couple more things to add. I've got some green onions, and I'll just slice them up. They add big flavor to this dip. Just sprinkle those in, and then a little bit of salt and pepper. If you wanted to kick this up a little bit, you could add some hot sauce, salsa, anything like that. Okay, the dip looks fantastic. Now it's time to get it into the baking dish. I've just got a regular 8-inch square dish, and I'll just pour it in. Okay, now to top it off, I'll just sprinkle on some extra pepper jack cheese. Now I'll just cover it with foil, and it'll be all ready to go in the oven. Now I'm just gonna grab some chips to go with it. I made a hot corn dip, and this needs to bake at 350 until it's hot and bubbly.
Okay, perfect.
Well, thanks for doing this.
Oh, sure.
I sort of threatened Alex that I was gonna join the party. She didn't look too happy about it. Well, I delivered my daughter. I delivered the dip. I'd say my work here is done. Now you're gonna wanna pay close attention because this is gonna move fast. $1 million dip coming right up. The creamy base starts with 8 ounces of cream cheese and 3/4 of a cup of mayonnaise. I let the cream cheese soften so it'll be easier to stir it together. So the first thing I wanna do is just smush all this together. Okay, that's the creamy base. Now I'll add the cheeses. 1 sharp cheddar, 1 cup, 2 grated Swiss, 1 cup, and 3 blue cheese crumbles, 1/4 a cup. Oh my gosh, it looks so good already. This is probably why it's called $1 million dip. I'm gonna add 8 pieces of bacon that have been fried crisp and cut really fine into a dice, and then some toasted almonds. And to toast them, I just bought slivered almonds and put them in a dry skillet over medium-low heat and just kind of shook the skillet for about 5 minutes until they were golden and nutty. I could stop right here and eat this for dinner. It is that good. Okay, the nuts and the bacon are mixed in. So I have a big pile of sliced green onions, 3 green onions to be exact. And for seasoning, I'm gonna keep it pretty simple. About 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt and 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, and just a little bit of cayenne, about 1/8 of a teaspoon. I'm using garlic powder instead of minced or grated garlic because sometimes when you add raw garlic to a dip and let it sit, it can sort of get overpowering. So the garlic powder keeps it from getting too strong. I mean, stick a fork in me, I'm done. That looks so good. So I'm gonna go ahead and transfer it to the bowl that I'll serve it in. And it really just comes out in one neat little pile. What a dip. I'm gonna cover it with plastic wrap because I wanna put it into the fridge for about 4 hours. And then when I serve it, I'll sprinkle on some extra green onions and I'll serve it with crackers. See what I mean by fast? All right, into the fridge.